On the docket tonight, the next live trial here on Court TV, and Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae has the story of the Phony funeral home trial.
On the first floor of this building, behind its brick walls and white windows, were cardboard boxes and plastic bags of 89 different sets of cremated human remains. This building is the Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church in Akron, Ohio. When authorities searched the church back in January, Heather Al-Husseini, whose mother's funeral took place there, voiced her concerns.
Why do we get that gut feeling that she's not buried?
Those concerns taken seriously by Ohio's Attorney General.
There's significant health issues, significant dignity issues. This is not just a regulatory issue. Some of the things we're seeing there are just not right.
Investigators looked to the church's owner, Shawnte Hardin, for answers. Hardin's attorney told local station News 5 that those remains belonged to another man, former funeral director Robert Tate, and that Hardin was only storing the remains until Tate could reunite them with their loved ones. But that explanation didn't sit well with investigators. Tate's license was revoked after he pleaded guilty to charges related to abusing corpses at his funeral home business. Now it appears Hardin is in hot water for his own business practices. In October of 2021, Hardin was indicted on 37 charges related to providing funeral services without a license. According to reports, his attorney says Hardin was well-intentioned and wanted to help people through an expensive process. Ohio's Attorney General gave this word of caution, especially to those looking for funeral services.
Well, make sure that you are dealing with a licensed professional who's going to abide by the laws and the appropriate health regulations. And secondly, reach out to somebody who's been through it. Get the advice of somebody you trust.
Now, grief-stricken families are left with the unsettling question of whether their loved ones are among those abandoned remains in the church basement and not the resting place they wanted or paid for.
Absolutely disturbing case. Let's bring back in our think tank, Renee Hill, Carmen Rowe, Tammy Allison with us. Tammy, you are going to have a level of outrage inside this courtroom. I know we do murder cases and all that, but this is people's dignity. And I don't know where he's going to go in his defense. My guess is probably pointing the finger at the other guy, Tate. But he chose a bench trial here.
This is a lot. 30+ counts against him, and he actually chose a bench trial. He didn't take a plea. Like, this is wild. The allegations here are so egregious. It is disgusting because the number of victims, it's not just the deceased, it's their families. It's the money they spent, that they thought they spent, to give their loved one the dignity of a memorial service and a burial or cremation. And they don't even know if their loved one is buried or if they got cremated or where they are. So this is something that I think a lot of people are going to be outraged by.
Now, when we get back to that issue, Carmen, of a bench trial, I always get a little suspicious because we all who have practiced law, and you're inside the courthouse, you know, judges have reputations, and you know, sometimes there's a reason. Maybe you don't want to put this in front of regular folks, and you have some sort of a legal defense. Or maybe you've seen some of the judges' rulings on pretrial motions. So I don't know. I'm always a little suspect of a case that the defense says, okay, yeah, I'll put this in front of the judge.
Vinny, that's exactly what I thought. I mean, this man, these offenses, as my colleague said, over 30 charges, felonies, serious charges, and he's on home confinement. They're going to a bench trial on this. And sure, you have a theory about some of the bodies that were there and the remains that were there that were not identified. But he's also charged with theft, unlawful use of a motor vehicle. I mean, fraud, a bunch of things that cannot be consistent with one defensive theory per se. And yeah, I think he's going to the judge because his attorney perhaps knows that judge and thinks that there will be leniency, that there will be some give on some of these based on legal bases rather than a factual basis. And because I think a jury would hurt him. for this type of offense. But in Texas, anyway, you have to waive the right to a jury trial, and the state has to waive it too. And a lot of times they won't when there's victims like this. So it surprises me, and I thought exactly what you're saying, that somehow the fix may be in this state.
Renee, the bottom line, if you're gonna look for leniency from the judge, the quickest road to leniency is accepting some responsibility. But when we decide to take a case to trial, we're not accepting responsibility for our actions.
Right. And so, you can't expect leniency in that fashion. You would present a pre-pleading memorandum to the court, give the court all the reasons why they should sentence you to, a minimal sentence in this case. But the crimes are so heinous, as Cammie said, and as Carmen has said as well, that this is not the kind of case that you want to put in front of a jury. And sometimes you have to say, you know what, let me just take the chances with the judge. And if there is a situation where it is more of a legal argument than it is a factual basis, then you're going to want to go with the judge anyway, because they probably believe that there is some sort of a legal technicality or a legal issue with regard to the statutes that are being charged here that they can roll with, because factually, he's got no argument here. And this type of crime, I mean, every soul that has passed through that funeral home coming for him. They are coming for him. And it's a shame, and it's really sad. And all of the families involved here, I mean, it would be a circus of the family members coming through there. There is no way a jury would not convict this man based on the charges that are here.
All right, here's what we've got, folks. Trial date, July 11th, Ohio versus Shawnte Hardin. It is happening. Court TV cameras inside the courtroom, microphones inside there. And you don't have to worry about that burdensome jury selection process. You get a bench trial, you just start. Like it's go. So July 11th, that is Monday, right here on your front row seat to justice.